Hello. Today I'm going to be talking about my first ever relationship. Before I continue, I was young. I don't know the exact age. This happened in grade 6. So maybe like 12, 11, around that age range. Not particularly sure the exact age, but around there. Very young. Still in elementary, as I said, grade 6. And I know some people are probably gonna say this doesn't really count as a first breakup, heartbreak, whatever. I mean, I guess I understand why. The relationship wasn't that long, but to me, it still meant a lot. And I mean, you could argue that teenage relationships don't count, and I'm not gonna argue with you. If that's how you feel, then just click off. But I felt a lot of emotions. I went through a lot, and that's all I'm really doing, just talking about it. So, as I said, I moved to Canada around 2015, 2016, and I moved to this elementary school at the end of grade 5. So basically, I started there in grade 6, and people were nice and everything. I enjoyed my company, I made good friends, and during lunch, I mainly just played soccer with few of my friends, and some people would play with us occasionally. And there was this one girl, and I don't want to say her real name, so we're just gonna call her uh, K. We're just gonna call her K. And K was, to me, the most beautiful girl in school, just the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. And I liked her. She was Italian, blonde, dirty blonde kind of. She was really pretty to me. She was athletic. Um, she was kind of shy too. I wasn't really ever the most spoken person. I still consider myself very relaxed and reserved, but she kind of was kind of the same, and I just liked her. I don't like. I don't think there's much more for me to say. I just liked her, and it's hard to say how we really got into a relationship to begin with. I know that when I established that I liked her, I began kind of trying to be silly during lunch. If I scored or whatnot, I would do like silly celebrations just to make her laugh, and it did work because she did laugh quite a bit, and I enjoyed that. I don't think we really talked much because we didn't have any classes together, I believe. Maybe we did, but we didn't really talk much outside of lunch. But she was lovely. I think she probably found out I liked her because I do remember at once I told a so-called friend that I liked her, and he just went up to her and told her. And I kind of just wanted to stop him and strangle him, but I mean, he did it regardless. So I think she had an idea that I liked her. And it's been so long, I really don't remember how we got into a relationship to begin with. I know it happened this summer because I think I might have, it's hard to say, but we had like a end of elementary party where I actually tried to impress her and I got injured. So basically what happened was there was this narrow, I don't know what you call it, but like, I guess like stairway, like like you walk it up, but it was like a narrow place, and I just wanted to go down it with my scooter, and she was like nearby, so I thought it'd be cool. I ended up, since it was so narrow, I ended up falling, scraping my knee. That's a whole complete different story I could talk about because I remember I got beat up by my father. Yada yada, wasn't enjoyable, had to lie. But I got injured, so I didn't impress her too much. But we did stay in contact. I remember we were texting through Google Meets, actually. And I don't know why we were texting. I don't know if it was already established that we liked each other. I think by then, during that summer, we definitely, like, I assumed that she liked me as well. And I think that was probably around the time I asked her out. I'm not entirely sure if I did or not. I do remember one time I wanted to hang out with her, so I biked to like her neighborhood and whatnot. and I wasn't able to really find exactly where she lived because I swear Google Maps back then sucked. Like it didn't tell me an exact location, but there was a park nearby, and I remember she told me she saw me, but I was like, why didn't you tell me? Like we could have hanged out. Like she was walking her dog or something, but I guess she didn't want to. I don't know. She was, as I said, she was very shy as well, just like me. You know, when I'm with my friends, I'm very loud and stuff. That's why I was able to, show that energy during lunch, just because I was mainly surrounded with some good friends. So I was being silly, goofy, whatever you want to call it. She was the same, but obviously, I guess when you're talking to a boy or a girl, like, you get shy. But I remember that we did try to hang out, but it never happened. And we did talk quite a bit on Google Meets. And I'm not sure if it was when this year started, but I probably did ask her out by then, maybe like a week before school started. I really don't remember the exact details. It's been so long, and I've definitely moved on. But she'll always be, I guess, my first one, kind of. So you don't really forget about that, do you? Right? But yeah, we essentially started dating, and school just started, and it was just a typical middle school relationship where you would talk countless of hours on text, but in person you would ignore each other. I hope other people did that too, and I'm not the only one. But that was our relationship basically at school. We just never talked. Whenever I saw her, like people would know we were dating, so that they kind of like forced us to talk to each other, and we would just have those awkward like talks, and we hug and stuff. I don't think I ever kissed her, if I'm being honest, but I didn't care. She was beautiful to me. I'm assuming she liked me because I was funny or whatnot. But I just liked talking to her on text. It was so fun. And she got dry and stuff. And I don't know what the main reason was, but she did break up with me eventually. We were probably together for less than a month by this point, a bit into the school year. And she broke up with me. I'm not entirely sure why. I think it had to do partly with her friend, who I don't think ever liked me. And I really do think she had a part with it, and she probably like influenced her to break up with me. I'm not entirely sure, but this is basically the main part of the story, I guess. You guys might call me stupid and say there was no reason to, but as I said, I really liked her and I wanted to, be her boyfriend for years. I thought I'm marrying her, right? Like, it's the first girlfriend. Like, obviously, you're not thinking of those things. But I remember when she told me the news on text, I wasn't doing well. I just started crying endlessly. I threw my phone away, and I was just so sad. I literally remember I went outside my apartment because I live in an apartment. I went outside my building. Right next to it, we have like a garage, like a parking lot. I mean, like a parking lot outdoors, and I just sat there, and I was just crying. And I'm not kidding to you when I say this. I literally prayed to God, and I said, "Please, God, please, I can't lose her. Please do something about this." Like, I literally prayed to God for her to come back. And as pathetic as it may be, like, I really did pray, and I was crying, and it really broke me. It was my first ever girlfriend. She was very beautiful to me, and she meant a lot to me. I mean, regardless of how we didn't really interact in person, we still talked a lot on Google Meets. I think we did move it a bit to text, but I think Google Meets was the main thing that we used during our relationship. But yeah, I think after that, things just went by. Maybe like a week or two went by, and I guess I recovered much better by then, and I was doing better. And one thing I didn't mention was that everyone has their flaws, and I guess what people consider her flaw, I never had an issue with it. Obviously, people pointed it out to me, but she did have a big forehead, which to me, I never really cared. But you know how when you get to middle school, like my school was like a middle school / high school, so I knew like some older people, but they tried to cheer me up, and they just said like she was ugly anyway. She had a really big forehead. Like, imagine the kids you'd have. like just mean stuff that's supposed to make you feel better, but also just makes the other person feel worse. I hope she never heard those stuff because it was very cruel. But I mean, I guess um, I listened to them and I was like, yeah, whatever. Like it's her loss, right? Like she does have a big forehead. Like I could do better. And I truly don't know how the conversation started, but she did want to get back with me. She wanted to be my girlfriend again, and I do regret what I did, but we did get back together. And I don't think I did it the same day, but maybe a few days after we got back together, I just broke up with her. So we literally got back together. She wanted to get back together, and maybe she wanted to give it another shot, but I just did the same thing. I really don't remember much. I don't know if I came to my senses and I just wanted to move on, or if this is primarily influenced by what my peers said to me about her. But I do remember I broke up with her, just like how she did, over text. And I do wish I could apologize to her, but I can't. We just, after that, we just never really spoke. And I hope she doesn't hate me. We still follow each other on Instagram. So I guess that means something, maybe. I don't know. But, we were young, very young. So I hope she can understand that. It was definitely childish of me, but I can't really go back and change it, right? But I did break up with her over text, and I remember literally the next day during lunch, the exact same friend that influenced her to break up with me to begin with came to me and shamed me for being too much of a pussy, sorry for swearing, to, do it in real life. And that I was so ashamed that I couldn't even tell her in person, and that no man should ever break up with a girl on text. Just a lot of people, her girlfriends obviously side with her. It's understandable. It's the same thing as my friends siding with me, but obviously they felt a certain way. And yeah, I think after that, nothing much happened. We just kind of moved on. I only went to middle school at that school, so I only did 2 years, 7 and 8. My high school was in a completely different school, so I only had to deal with her after that for a year, I guess, or a year and a half if you consider the first year. Maybe more than a year and a half, like a year and like, I don't know, 6 months or something. You get the point. But I did meet another girl that I guess you could say was my second love, kind of. I think this girl, that could be a completely different story, honestly, was probably the girl that to this day probably mattered the most to me. So I guess you could say I did get over her. My first ever heartbreak breakup, love. I don't know. It's kind of like cringe to say love, because I haven't had a relationship in so long. It's been a long time, and I feel like most of the relationships that I've had were like when I was in middle school / like early high school, which I don't know if you really consider them a relationship just because they didn't last long, not even a year, less than 6 months, to be honest. I think the longest one was like 3 months. So I don't know if you can really consider any of these like, well, I'm talking about a relationship itself. Obviously, like the girl, like my first breakup, obviously I'd known her for over a year, but like actually dating her was less than a month or something. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. At the time, it broke me, and I really did cry a lot. She meant a lot to me, and then like 2 weeks after, I did the same exact thing to her, and it was shameful. I'm sorry to her if she ever comes across this video. I think you know who you are. Hey Kay, hope you're doing well, and I just wish you the best. But I don't really have any advice on how to move past it, because I did have to express myself. I had to let myself cry. There's nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with expressing your emotions. There's nothing wrong with talking about it, as long as it's a healthy talk with someone that you truly trust. Maybe your parents, maybe a close relative. Sometimes your friends mean the best for you, but they're obviously gonna probably shame the other person, which might not be the most ideal, as I talked about in this story. But let you, time will essentially allow you to heal, and next thing you know, it's all in the past, and I don't really think about her much. Obviously, every once in a while, she comes to my head. I mean, I follow her on Instagram, so I see her, how she's doing and stuff, and I'm just happy for her. Like I don't have no ill intent. I don't really wish her anything bad. Like I wouldn't say I have any feelings for her. Like it is what it is. I think for me, the thing that best made me move on was, not gonna lie, breaking up with her myself, because I feel like, I don't want to say I one upped her, but essentially the thing that she did, I did it back to her, which, as bad as it was, kind of did allow me to move on at the same time. And obviously, as I said, um, in those early years, I feel like I was a popular kid, so I talked to a lot of people, which just helped a lot because I could not, I didn't have to think about her. You know, just something that happened in the past. And as I said, I think it was more grade 8, I believe, but I forget. But I did meet this other girl who I'll probably say was my biggest love. I mean, it might be cringe, because how can you love someone when you're like 14, 13? Or I mean, to this day, probably the person I care the most about. I was actually in a relationship with this girl. We were best friends for, let's say, 2 to 3 years, because we did fade away after high school, or like by the time I entered high school. So 7 and 8, and then maybe a bit of 9. So like 2.5 years but we were like best friends every day we FaceTime. So she definitely helped me. I had other situationships, things, small relationships with other girls after my first. So that also helped, I guess, to move on. I wouldn't say it's the most healthy, but we were young. We both made mistakes, and as long as you acknowledge them, you talk about them with someone you trust, everything is fine, I guess. I don't know if there's anything else I want to talk about. I think that's about it. But I just wanted to make this video. Maybe it can help someone, or it can just allow you to understand my character, or just I can let you guys know more about myself, and hopefully you guys can understand me better. I feel like I'm just repeating myself, but yeah. Peace.